do you feel that there's a lot more weight on your shoulders now as the first woman heading a U.S. military academy? And what did it take so long for this to happen?
Well, some of it's timing, and for some of you of my vintage, it just, what happened in the 70s, and I've sort of been on this bow wave of our country changing. So if you think about the age of our academy, we date from April 1st, 1954, and frankly, I think the April 1st part was some kind of bad joke by the Army. That wasn't really fair. But our first superintendent, General Harmon, was President Eisenhower's classmate, West Point, 1915. And so post-World War II, we have an independent Air Force, and we have an Air Force Academy in 1954. And our country has doubled in size since then, in the 62 years since we became an academy. And imagine, and the demographic change of our nation has become more blended. We look different, we feel different. And so it's just part of the evolution of things in a lot of ways. What's great about operations are, you can really show competency. The airplanes do not care what you look like or sound like. They just want to, if you make the right inputs, it works. And obviously, I don't want to oversimplify because humans have to be involved with it. And it was a little sporty being in the second co-ed class. People weren't used to it, faculty or staff or other cadets, because they couldn't imagine it differently than they'd seen, that someone could look like their sister or their mother and yet go do push-ups and fly and make jump shots and do the things you need to do in our business. And so that's been a matter of change as well. So it takes this long because it takes about 25 years to make flag in the services, and it takes about 7 more years to become a 3-star general, not just a 1-star general. So that puts you at about 32 to 33 years of service, which is we're hierarchical, it just kind of takes that long. And for the things to sort themselves out in the 80s and 90s, women were flying fighter jets in the Air Force, at least in 93, something like that for the Navy as well. And then obviously the discussion about women in combat with ground forces has still been bandied about. So it's been a lot of change. So that's sort of why. And the way we groom people hasn't been specific to who you look like. It's such a colorblind and such a gender-blind system in a way. It goes against what you think, that we'd be trying to groom things a certain way. And I think that's what Secretary Carter's trying to get at now, to have better talent management, to make it more permeable, to make our system more relevant to the current profession of arms and to the current generation that we have. So it's taken a while. And I think the only weight I carry with that is to try to make our academy as relevant to this generation and this modern profession of arms as possible, to deliver our traditional mission in a way that matters now. I've spent the last couple of days and over the last years visited places like Facebook and Huffington Post, and I've had a chance to go to see some of your office spaces. I've been to Fox and to see their modern way to collaborate, the way we share information. And that's not exactly the way the military is structured, but it's the way people learn, and it's who our officers need to be. It's who you need them to be after their military service, when they come and work for our nation, for you. And so that's the challenge. I feel like I can't go fast enough. And that's what I'm really avid about.